Hey, what's up, guys? David Morgan here with the Music Shed. We have part two of Conversations in the Shed with Jinjer's Eugene. And in this episode, we talk about learning how to play the bass, practicing, how that goes, and influences, how our influences affect who we are as a musician. Let's check it out. Eugene, I wanted one of the main things I want to find out from you, because what I've seen, what I've heard from you as a musician, I love the way you play the bass. You
Thanks
have
a lot.
incredible skill and stamina and technique and musicality. What I want to try to do is I want to find out where you came from, why you started playing the bass, what happened early on that got you hooked on music. And I want to find out some of your earlier experiences and kind of like walk through to where you are now. Could you start by telling us when did you start getting into music and knew that you wanted to start? What did you start playing? What instrument did you start playing? And when did that happen, and how and why?
Yeah, first of all, I started very late, and I never played anything else than bass. I only play the bass. Yeah, I know that many people can consider this as as a disadvantage. Starting late, having no musical background. Uh, this is actually my story. Nobody in my family plays anything. Yeah, and when I started, I was 18 years old.
Mm.
I was 18 years old, and most of my friends at that time and family members, they just never understood me. They never understood me up until I got to the level when I started touring around the whole world. My father, for example, he never supported me, and he kept on saying that I had to just give it all up, find a proper job, yeah, and start a normal life, as he said, yeah,
Normal.
and normal life, yeah.
Right.
And he only approved what I was doing when I first, I think, went to America to tour.
Mm.
Then he understood that it is worth something. Yeah, and
Right, because parents need concrete result. They need to see something concrete that you're actually making money, and right,
all the generation, absolutely. Yeah,
absolutely.
well, I believe, first of all, I completely agree with your understanding of this musician's way or artistic way. Like you need to have something like, let's say, a message. Call one side a message, something you want to speak about, and the other side is the skills to implement this, to bring this to life.
Hmm.
Well, and I had this message from the very beginning. I think that very first day I got my first bass, which was awful. It was
Oh,
awful.
what
Yeah,
was it? What was the first bass you had?
yeah. I'm sure you never heard about this. It's a guitar called Ural. It was made in the Soviet Union. It's a Soviet guitar, which is just, it's horrible. It's impossible to play. But this is what I could afford. That was what I could afford. And I remember I had to go to a construction area to work during my winter holidays. I was at my first year at university, and I had 2 weeks off winter holidays. I went to a different city to work at the construction area. I made some money, and I, straight after getting back home, I went and bought the guitar. And since the first very day, I was trying to compose something.
Ooh,
Yeah, I
that's
was even
awesome.
having no skills. I was trying just to come up with something, yeah, written by me. And of course, yeah, like you said, it's a mess. It's a mess, definitely. Understanding how music, without the understanding how music works, it's just impossible to write anything. You must be either extremely talented and have this perfect pitch, or you need some knowledge. And I didn't have any pitch. I had some. I couldn't say I was absolutely deaf. No.
Mm.
Yeah, I had some. I think at that point not a bad feeling of rhythm. Yeah, and at the same time, I understood that I needed some knowledge of music theory, at least the basics. And this is what helped me to learn fast, more or less. Yeah, I just got really into this. I understood the idea of, time, music time, yeah, bars, yeah, note lengths, and it helped a lot. It helped a
Mm-hmm.
lot. Yeah, because once you understand this and you can structure this, this is the actually what still helps me. What I'm trying to, if somebody asks me for a piece of advice musically or how to play bass, I keep saying that you need to learn how to be able to structure what you're playing. Yeah, actually putting accents and the being able to, yeah, just split your music into phrases. This
Mm-hmm.
is this is the most important thing. Yeah,
Phrasing.
yeah, phrasing. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that would help a lot. And little by little, I just balance the whole thing of message and
Mm.
skills.
Yeah.
Message and skills.
And a lot of it, doesn't it come from that feeling of frustration? Like, God, I want to get this out. I wish I could take a guitar cable and plug it into my ear and have music come out, but it doesn't work like that. The frustration that we feel can then propel us to learn more technique. Anytime the frustration can bum you out and get you pissed off, or it can motivate you to go to another level where you can express more. But let me ask you, why did you choose the bass? Why the bass?
It's funny. It's
What
funny.
made what was it like a girl, or like you wanted to get the gigs, or like what was it?
Well, honestly, just to cut it short, how it happened, I made friends who were in the band, and I started hanging out with them quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like, why don't I try? And I thought that the bass is the easiest.
Mm. Okay. I
Well,
mean,
this is what most of beginners say, that bass is the easiest instrument. Just four strings, come on, yeah, and you play one string, yeah, yeah.
well,
Of course,
certainly that can be true. I mean, certainly not the way you play it now, but certainly there are many bass players in certain genres who just play, and that's their job. Their job is to do that, and that's cool.
but I mean, I'm sure you will agree with me. Now, being where I am now as a musician, I actually understand clearly that even playing two notes, it can be as hard as playing 20 notes.
Amen.
Yeah, so it's just the matter of it, this is like let me tell you a very interesting story. It was last summer. We were playing at Full Force Festival, and we were sharing the stage with the guys from Animals as Leaders, god level musicians, yeah. And their drummer, our dressing rooms were very very close. Then
Mm-hmm.
the drummer just Matt Garska, if I'm not mistaken, right? Am I? Yeah. He came to our dressing room. I was there alone watching our just recorded stream from that show. We just played. I was in the dressing room and I just was watching that show. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it is available on YouTube. You can check it out. Yeah, and I think it was a very good show because, first of all, this is one of those shows which is not edited. It is just a stream,
Mm-hmm.
straight from EA, straight from the mixing console, just to the internet. Nothing changed, nothing remixed. Same balances that were on stage. Just, I really love those raw shows because they really show what you are, what you
Totally.
are. Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
I was watching through that video, and he came. I didn't notice him. He was standing behind me for it, I think, 5 minutes, and he was watching it with me.
Hmm.
And of course, as a drummer, he paid attention at the flat. And what he said just made me confident that we are in the band. We are right with our approach. Let me explain what I mean. He said all of a sudden, and I was even scared because I didn't know he was standing behind me. Yeah, he said, you know what? Vlad is not playing like an average metal drummer. he puts something into each note he plays, just like all these jazz drummers do, like accent, yeah, phrasing, everything, yeah. Uh, and this is actually right. Most of metal musicians just play a bunch of notes, just a lot of notes, especially drummers. They use triggers, and it doesn't really matter how hard they hit that kick drum.
Right.
It just, yeah, a touch, but it's the same sound. And it's actually far from music. It's far from music. And this is the approach which we all have in the band. It doesn't really matter how fast we play or how many notes we play. It matters how good those notes are. How good is every single note? Yeah. And that's what I was driving at. You can play just two notes in the bar or even one, but this one note on the bass guitar may change the whole picture just because of how good it is.
100%. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And the musicians I think that I'm most drawn to do that. And I'm a jazz musician, so I certainly understand that one note from Miles or Coltrane or the musicians, Wynton Kelly, Thelonious Monk, they play that one note and you know it's them. There's no question that it's them. And that
Absolutely.
identity and the fact that they care about each note. You got to care about every single note.
Yeah. That's what, again, a lot of musicians just miss at the beginning. And it brings a lot of frustration because if they keep on doing this for in a long perspective, they will anyway come to understanding of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it will bring a lot of frustration because just because of that thing inside your mind, why didn't I come to this earlier? Earlier.
So now from that time that you first started with that awful bass, which I'm sure you still have, right?
No.
The awful. Oh man! Oh, you got rid of it.
I hated that. I hated that instrument so much, so I sold it as soon as I could, and I bought more or less decent guitar, Chinese made. But at that point, it felt like fodder, I think. Yeah,
Isn't that the greatest though? When you get that new instrument, you're like, oh, it stays in tune.
I wish I could find it. I wish I could find it and get it back, just to have it. Just to have it. A memorabilia, but I don't think it is.
So from that first, getting in that band, joining that band on the bass, because it was quote unquote the easiest instrument. And then how did you start to evolve technically? What did you do? How did you practice? What did you practice? Tell us some of the influences you had, mentors, disciplines. Tell us what you started doing.
First of all, I just must speak about the following. Actually, a lot of this is what I mentioned, but I didn't finish. Most of the people will say it's a disadvantage that I started so late, being 18 years old. But there is an advantage. When you are such a grown up, and when you have your musical tastes already built up, it's easier to find your way, because I just know that it's my personal experience. Most of the musicians who started very, very early, because of their parents and family they come from, by the time they are 18, they are absolutely lost in all the genres, all the styles, all the bands they have been into. Most of them just don't know what to play. They run from one thing to another, and they just cannot choose. When you start that late, you know what to do. You know that I was a metal fan. I was deeply into extreme music, also all genres of extreme music, death, grindcore, brutal death. Yeah, even heavy metal. Yeah, I confess. Yeah, hardcore, new metal, all the spectrum of extreme genres. And
Yeah.
I wanted to play that music. Doesn't matter what exactly, but just extreme and heavy. Little by little, I just turned into progressive metal, and this is the genre through which I open all the other music for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, there is a band. Everybody knows this. My most favorite band of all times is Opeth,
Mm-hmm.
and Opeth just proved for me personally that it just jazz, funk, all these non-extreme genres can be absolutely fascinating. And through that music, I started listening to everything else, through
Mm.
everything else. And at some point, I think 5 years after I first took bass into my hands, I was already playing everything, just not only metal, but funky stuff, some jazzy stuff. I started learning from jazz musicians, especially jazz bass guitarists,
Uh,
uh, like Victor Wooten, Marcus Miller, because
yes.
you can learn really a lot from them, really a lot
Oh,
from them, not only
big time.
technical, yeah, but also from the point of view of this understanding. Yeah, and it gave me a lot. It gave me a lot. I found notes for Jaco Pastoria's things, yeah, and took a lot from there. And I was just trying to implement non-metal things into metal music.
Mm. That's huge. That's
Yeah,
huge. Just yeah.
it widens your range. It can be compared to vocalists when they widen their range. It's the same with the bass guitar or any other musical instruments. It just your range is getting way wider.
Yeah. Oh man, absolutely. And why get so locked into a genre and have such tunnel vision that you're excluding all of this? I mean, music really, yes, we have genres, but music is music, man. I mean, that's the way that I feel.
Absolutely.
I don't. There's a part we have to categorize things as human beings. That's what we do, but there can be a really limiting factor in that. So when I heard you guys go to reggae in one of your tunes, I was like, yeah. I forget what the name of that one was, but it's probably a few of them. But um, it made me see exactly what you're saying, that you appreciate whatever music you are drawn to. You're going to try to learn something about that and put it into your music.
But I know where it comes from. I understood what is the origin of this. Why
Mm-hmm.
me and the others in this band are not limited with one genre, with one style. It all comes from this one of these bubbles, yeah, like skills and message. It comes from the message, because
Mm-hmm.
if your message is huge, if you have a lot of things to tell to the others, if you have a lot to express, you will never be able to do this through one genre.
Mm-hmm.
You just need all the spectrum of tools to be able to deliver to the people what you really mean with your songs.
Mm-hmm. Right. Amen. Again, that's you could I couldn't put it better myself. Give us a glimpse, Eugene, of those early days, you being in a practice room. What did that look like? How many days a week did you practice? How long? What was a routine? Did you have a routine, or was it like a little bit here and a little bit there? Like what? One thing I want to try to help musicians who are coming up is to see how we you can't play like you play without a lot of discipline, practice, study, listening. Give us a window into a day in the life of your practice routine back then or now. I mean, both, but I back in the early days when you started to get really hungry to be able to play the bass a certain way. Tell us what you did.
Well, of course, first of all, I must say that a couple of years at the beginning were just waste of time. Because, well, I think more or less everybody goes through this. For some people, it's shorter. For some people, it's longer. When you just don't have people around you who can really lead you and show you the way it must be. Yeah, you just start grabbing from here and from there and from there, and it doesn't really help.
Mm.
A very good thing is organization. You just need to organize yourself in a certain way, organize your playing. And it all starts from out of music. You just need to find the exact time to devote to your practicing. In my opinion, this is the first step. So you just need to tell yourself, okay, I will have at least some time every day to play. This is where it starts from, in my opinion. And I still think that it doesn't really matter how long you practice a day. I never believe people who keep saying that they practice for 6 or 7 hours a day. Yeah, I don't think it is possible physically. Yeah, I think what matters is you just need to do this daily, just every day.
Get on your instrument. Get on.
Yeah, 30 minutes, 40 minutes is enough, but daily. Yeah.
Very important.
Then, yeah, especially now looking back, I think, like I said, music theory and a little bit of scales will never make it bad. Yeah, especially I don't know how good it is for guitarists, but this is one of that thing which really differs from just a guitar. Yeah, playing bass. For the bass guitar, scales will give you again a bit of organization, but in this case, it will organize your hands. Yeah, like because just because doing some things in a proper way will make life easier. Yeah, just making your hands synchronized by playing scales. And what again a lot of beginners miss, paying attention not at what you see but at what you hear. Yeah, so just first thing what should be first place is listening and hearing, then seeing. Yeah, because your eyes will very, very often mislead you, but your ears will never. Yeah. And learning a lot of songs to play, a lot of songs of different genres. This is where actually skills come from, in my opinion. Scales are okay, but it will never teach you how to play, in my opinion. It will teach you how to use your hands in the proper way. Yeah, but what will teach you how to play is songs by different artists, different genres, from different genres, with different techniques, and so on and so forth.
So you're talking about learning verbatim bass lines that these guys played in the song note for note.
Yeah.
How did you learn that? Was it by ear? Was it by tabs, or a combination of both?
Both. When it's something easy, of course you can pick it up by ear, like smells like Teen Spirit thing. Right. Yeah. But when it comes to something, especially with the bass guitar, something more technical, of course it's tabs. Of course it's tabs, or just a combination of both. A combination of both can be good. I believe that it is better at first just to learn a song note by note, just the original way it was played. But after some time, it definitely makes sense to making your own cover version. Right. Just thinking, how would you change this and that? Yeah, how would you adapt? And what is really good is probably playing a few songs as a band, because each musician will bring something new to it, and you will be able to. This is why I so much enjoy playing with Vlad, because Vlad's approach to drumming and creating his drum lines, drum parts, really opens a lot of doors on the bass guitar.
The way that you guys feed off of each other and what you hear him do and how you react to that relationship makes you play differently, right?
Absolutely. It can be heard on our album. It can be heard absolutely 100% on our albums. First two albums, Cloud Factory and King of Everything, I just, when I listen to those songs now, in the recording we made at that time, I just feel like I was playing with one hand, tied at behind my back.
Mm-hmm.
I was so much limited, and I was limited not by guitars, not by the sound. I was limited by the drums, because those style of drumming never gave me enough space. Yeah, with Vlad, the game changed completely, just completely, 100%.
It's amazing how that can happen.
This is what I was driving at. Yeah, covering a song in a band in order to be able to develop your own style helps a lot.
Once you've learned it a certain way, then to start to make it your own.
Yeah.
Because then you're building on a foundation of walking on the same path that your influences walked, taking it to your own direction,
absolutely.
right? Taking it in your own direction. Were there any mentors, any musical mentors that you had when you started out that gave you some advice, that gave you some wisdom that you latched onto? Any kind of role models that saw something in you, or?
If you mean somebody I knew personally,
like a teacher or
no.
So you're really self-taught on the bass.
I am, yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
Throughout all this, I am 33 now. I started when I was 18, so 15 years. I've been playing for 15 years. Throughout these 15 years, I had, I think, 3 lessons. Yeah, but honestly, those 3 lessons helped me. Those 3 lessons helped me because actually the 3 lessons is enough to, once you are acquainted with a instrument, 3 lessons is enough for somebody well experienced to show you the basics and your most and the biggest mistakes you make. That's enough. Yeah, I think. I never had anything else. I never had any long-lasting teachers, nothing like that. I learned from video schools, video lessons, and most of them were actually jazz musicians. They are they are well known for making video lessons instead of metal musicians. Yeah, and I had throughout all this time, I definitely had role models I was looking up to, just on the music scene. At some point, let's say 12 years ago, 10 years ago, I was still deeply into, extreme death metal, and I really appreciated that time Alex Webster from Cannibal Corpse, and I still like his style. I still like him as a bass guitar, but throughout the time, I just, I was growing up myself, and I, of course, was widening my view on the music. Yeah, and there are a few people who will always stay for me, who will always remain for me, role models to look up at. These are from metal music. This is definitely Ryan Martini, Mudvayne, and I think that this man actually changed the whole bass guitar game in the whole metal genre.
How?
By means of his style of playing and his sound and his role in the mix. Actually, I think that was the first guy in the whole not just new metal scene, who was the primary instrument in the composition, yeah, and in the mix, yeah, and at the same time, he wasn't like soloing all the time. No, it wasn't soloing. It was such a good way of arrangement that you could always hear the bass. You could always say that well, this is the main instrument here. Yeah, it's obvious, but at the same time, you could hear everything else, and
Mm-hmm.
everything else matched well together. Yeah, and just techniques he brought in, uh, the choice of notes, arrangements, everything. It was such an innovation in all the ways. Yeah. As for non-metal bass guitarists, so the names will be well known. Like I said, Victor Wooten, and actually my uh, tapping technique. This is what I first started learning from his videos. Yeah, there was a video when he explained how to play this simple tapping style when you just break a chord into different octaves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you play the lowest note with your left hand and the highest note with your right hand, and you make it sound way fancier just by
Hmm.
spreading it along the neck. Yeah, and it helped me to understand how I can implement this into my bass lines. And since I first saw that video, I started using tapping more and more and more. And this is one of the main techniques I'm using now. Marcus Miller and his approach to slapping. Yeah, because I'm not really,
Amazing.
of course, all these guys do this double flat with the thumb. Yeah, but if Victor Wooten relies on this almost entirely everywhere, Marcus Miller is more, in my opinion, conservative,
Mm-hmm.
more conservative. But how good he is at, using not that much of technical skills, but musicality in his bass lines.
Mm.
He, he, his, his choice of notes is perfect, just
So
perfect.
you feel like he saves the technique for the right place and uses it in the right
That's what I mean.
as a musical choice,
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I
right?
mean.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So these guys will always be for me role models, of course. Of course they are.
I think I found that when someone latches on to a role model, like for me as a jazz musician in my early 20s, late teens, I started just listening really and learning one guy for a few months, like just learning one guy's solos note for note, and then moving on to another guy and another guy. And I would just spend time really digesting one person for a period of time. And that also helped me build my vocabulary and the touch and harmonic vocabulary, fingering, and I do find it really helpful to just lock in. I did find it helpful early on to lock into a few people that really resonated with me, or who really swung really hard. And like Wynton Kelly was one of my favorite piano players early on because he just swings. So I wanted to swing like him, you know.
It's actually what you're saying now is very similar to me. This is what I did. I was looking into one person, his or her style of playing,
Mm,
mostly his, yeah, because there are not many women playing the bass, but there are some, of course. So I was deeply into this guy for some time, just picking what is most interesting for me in his playing, learning this, building my vocabulary. Yeah, this is very important. Just having that element and being able to implement those elements into my music.
yeah.
Then after this, I think there were periods when I was actually trying to use this vocabulary in my music. But after some period of time, I came across with another guy, and I got really into his playing and was picking out of there. Then again, using this vocabulary in my music. Then again, another guy. So it was always, it's, I think, a nonstop process of finding inspirations and
Absolutely.
stealing some ideas.
But that's what you have to do. I mean, that's what we do. We're allowed to steal ideas. It's like when you learn how to speak as a baby, you're not reading anything. You're just listening to people and you're actually trying to mimic them. But it always is going to sound like you because you're not them, right? I
Yeah, yeah,
mean,
borrowings. It's borrowings. And I am absolutely pro this. I don't think there is anything bad in this. It is
there's
only
nothing
good.
bad. I agree. You have to. You have to. It's how we learn. When did you start to feel that the bass became a voice for you? When did that happen? Do you remember that happening?
Uh, I have to confess it didn't happen long ago. It didn't happen long ago.
It took a
I think
while.
I think 3-4 years ago I first started to understand that it is really like me speaking through the instrument. So it took me 10 years to come to this point.
Yeah.
When yeah, of course. It's like a baby. It's a good comparison. At first you are able to you already played. Let's assume you already play the instrument. You play it well, but it's still not like speaking with an instrument. Yeah, but I remember clearly it was right after or during the times we were recording King of Everything, and that
Mm.
was the first time I felt like I could speak just a few words, simple sentences. Yeah, little by little, especially
Wow.
after Vlad came in, it changed a lot. Now, uh, I cannot say I'm good at this language. I cannot say. I am very humble about my skills. Uh, but I can say that I can speak through the instrument, more or less, more or less.
Well,
I
it's a very humble way of putting it because to any outsider who watches you play, listens to you, um, it seems like you do a lot more than that. It feels to us, but I think being humble is certainly a wonderful character trait to have in music because it means that you're always going to want to grow. We're always going to want to evolve and grow, and you've never reached there. You might have there moments like those gigs you guys did in Australia and those nights or those recordings that are really special, but next day you wake up and it's like, okay, I got to grow today. I got to evolve,
Absolutely. I would say that comparing playing a musical instrument to speaking a language it's a good example. And talking about me, I think that I can be good at writing, but not oral language. What I'm trying to say that it takes some time for me to write bass lines.
Mm-hmm.
So I try this and that, and it's often a way of many mistakes and just going wrong directions, but then getting back and go in another direction. So it takes time to write bass line. And yeah, what listeners have at the end is actually a result of long and hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Long and hard work. Yeah, and if I, for example, spend much less time on this, I would say, yeah, I'm quite good at this or not. Yeah, just if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish I did it I did it with much less efforts, but I still put a lot of efforts into this, and that is why I am saying I'm just very humble about my skills. I'm bad at improvisation. I'm very bad at improvisation, and in the genre I play in, you just don't have improvisation.
There's not a lot. That's the one thing I know. Actually, I commented that on one of the videos we did, one of the reactions we did the other day, that I am an improv. That's what I do. Improvising is what is 95% of what I do. And sometimes I wish that the metal music, for lack, in all its subcategories, that I would hear more improvisation. That I think it would be interesting to me as an improvising musician to hear in that genre a little bit more improvisation.
You're right. You're absolutely right. This is what we miss in this genre, and this is what probably will be the next step for the whole metal genre is just like the next the way to develop. Like if we'll be able to bring a bit, just a little bit more of improvisation into because so far the only improvisation which you can come across with in the metal music is probably some drum fills and guitar solos.
Right. We really hope you guys enjoy that as much as we did. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for notifications about more conversations in the shed. And leave comments. Have a musical day.